Joe Biden promised Ukraine $1 billion if they fired the prosecutor investigating his son's company.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
But when President Trump asks Ukraine to investigate corruption, the Democrats want to impeach him, and their media lapdogs fall in line. They lost the election. Now they want to steal this one. Don't let them.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
But you really don't have any problem with the President of the United States leveraging his power to push a foreign leader to investigate a political rival?
What I have a problem is what the Democrats are doing. Understand what happened here, Jake. You had a bureaucrat who didn't like the president.
Wait. What are you talking about?
We know he didn't like the president.
No, we don't know that.
The Inspector General says there's an indicia of arguable political bias. That is Washington speak for this guy didn't like the president.
Let's go into that because I have that up here.
Let me finish my statement. A bureaucrat who didn't like the president files a claim saying the president did something wrong on a call. This guy wasn't on the call. Someone else told him about the call. So the White House does something that's never been done before. They actually released the transcript. We see the transcript. There's nothing there. But the Democrats say, we don't care. We're going to move towards impeachment. They don't care about the facts. They don't care about the truth. And you know why we know that? Because Nancy Pelosi did a press conference the day before and said she was going to move towards impeachment the day before she even saw the transcript. That just shows you these folks are bound and determined to go after this president no matter what. They did. They put the country through 3 years of this false Trump-Russia collusion issue all the way through. And it was the Michael Cohen hearing didn't do it for him. The John Dean hearing didn't do it for him. The Bob Mueller hearing fell apart. The Corey Lewandowski hearing didn't do it for him. So now they come with this, the latest attack on the president.
So there's a lot you said there. There's a lot of people that would look at what's in the Mueller report and say that's not nothing. But let's talk about today. Let's talk about today. You just described this individual, this whistleblower, and I'm really actually surprised because I've covered whistleblowers when you were on the committee during the Obama years, and there was a lot more reverence for whistleblowers during that period from Republicans than I'm hearing today. You said that he was a bureaucrat who hated the president or disliked the president, biased against the president. There is no evidence of that. Let me read from the Inspector General's report. It says, although the ICIG, that's the Intelligence Committee Inspector General's preliminary review, identified some indicia of an arguable political bias on the part of the complainant in favor of a rival political candidate, such evidence did not change my determination that the complaint related to the urgent concern appears credible. So first of all, that could mean that he interned for John McCain 20 years ago. We have no idea what it means. Second of all, he says in that same sentence that it did not change his determination that the complaint is credible. That's a Trump appointee saying that.
Two things you look at. Our committee, I'm on the Oversight Committee. We probably deal with more whistleblowers than any committee in Congress. Two things you look at to determine the credibility of a so-called whistleblower when they're coming forward. First, did they have firsthand knowledge? And second, what is their motivation? Was there some kind of bias? This individual has problems on both of those counts. He had no firsthand knowledge. He heard something from someone who may have heard something from someone.
No, his sources were firsthand sources.
So he has no firsthand knowledge. And second, he has a political bias. That should tell us something about this guy who came forward with this claim. And now the Democrats are saying, because of this whistleblower, we're going to impeach the president. I say look at the transcript, and the transcript gives you no reason to impeach this president, overturn an election where the people spoke, I think, loud and clear.
You know, as well as I do, that you do not need to have firsthand knowledge to be a whistleblower. And even if...
Well, you don't now because they changed the form. You used to. They changed the form.
There's no evidence of that. And we looked into this. I know you're talking about that Federalist story. It's not clear that that's accurate. And even so, experts say it has never been true. It has never been true that you need to have firsthand knowledge to be a whistleblower.
But it's something that's critical when you're assessing if they're credible. That's a major determination.
So listen to this. Here's what the complaint says, okay? Quote, this is from the whistleblower. The president used the remainder of the call to advance his personal interests. Namely, he sought to pressure the Ukrainian leader to take actions to help the president's 2020 re-election bid. Now, the acting director of national intelligence, Joseph Maguire, another Trump appointee, just like the inspector general, was asked by Congress about whether or not the transcript matched up with the complaint. Here's what he had to say.
I would say that the whistleblower's complaint is in alignment with what was released yesterday by the president.
So the acting director of national intelligence says that the transcript backs up what the whistleblower says, and we also found out that the White House did, in fact, take the transcript and put it in this secret compartmented computer server to block anybody else from getting it. So those are the two main charges, and they're both true. They're both true.
You know why they put it in the classified server? Because this administration, there was a study, Jake, right here, done by the Senate in 2017. More leaks in the first 5 months, state security leaks in the first 5 months of the Trump administration than any other administration. They should be putting everything in there. With folks around you who are leaking information, we remember the call to the former Prime Minister of Australia. Here's what it says. It is a fact that the Trump administration has been besieged by leaks at a level that far exceeds that of any other administration.
I recognize you guys don't want the facts coming out.
No. You got to protect from the leaks. If I'm the Trump administration, I'd be putting every communication in this.
The leaks are of accurate information. The leaks are of accurate information.
Jake,
you don't like the leaks coming out.
Who are you going to believe? The guy who had back to the whistle, who are you going to believe? The guy who had firsthand knowledge and who was on the call, President Zelensky, who said he wasn't pressured, or the guy who didn't have
We've seen the
knowledge?
transcript.
That's what I'm saying. The guy who didn't have firsthand knowledge and had a motive against the president.
According to the acting director of national intelligence, the transcript is in alignment with the whistleblower complaint. We all see it. We all see it's a conversation. Zelensky wants military aid, and President Trump asks him to look into the Bidens. I can't believe that that's okay with you.
Zelensky brings up he wants to drain the swamp in his country like the president is doing here. The president says, do me a favor, can you figure out what happened in 2016? I thought we all cared about what happened in the 2016 election.
And then he moves on to the Bidens. And then
after Zelensky says this important sentence, in addition to that investigation, I want to do all investigations in an open and candid way. Only then does the president bring up Biden. And my guess is, if you ask the American people, when they look at what happened with Joe Biden's son, I don't know that.
What happened with Joe Biden's son?
He got paid $50,000, Jake. $50,000 a month for several years now.
And the Ukrainian prosecutor said there's no evidence of wrongdoing.
Come on.
What?
Come on. The vice president's son gets paid $50,000 a month and gets hired by a company in an industry he has no experience in, and that's fine. And all you folks in the press and Democrats, no problem here. Go try taking that message to the American people.
If you want to propose a law,
who don't make $50,000 in a year, and when they see the vice president's son getting paid $50,000 a month in a field in an industry he has no experience in, I kind of wonder what Hunter Biden did in those board meetings. So would he just look at his phone, check out the sports?
In May,
he's getting paid $50,000, and then when the company that's paying him that money is under investigation, guess what? Daddy comes running to the rescue. The vice president of the United States comes running and says,
what happened.
Fire that prosecutor.
Sir, that's not what happened. The European Union, the Obama administration, the International Monetary Fund, clean government activists in Ukraine thought that the prosecutor was not prosecuting corruption.
So you're saying Joe Biden didn't tell Ukraine to fire that prosecutor? I think he did.
He did.
I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
I think he did.
He did.
No, but he bragged about it.
The guy was not prosecuting anything. That was the problem. The government of the United States and the West.
Joe Biden told him to fire the prosecutor.
You're not saying facts. You say, here are the facts.
No, here are the facts. Did Joe Biden tell him to fire the prosecutor?
Because he wasn't going after corruption. He wasn't going after corruption. Do you understand what I'm saying? He wasn't going after corruption.
Was that prosecutor looking into Burisma, the company that had hired Joe Biden's son for $50,000
According to the Ukrainians, that investigation was dormant at the time.
Most important,
that investigation was dormant at the time.
Did Joe Biden's son get paid $50,000 a month in a field in an industry that he had no experience in? Those are three key facts.
If you want to push a law saying that the children of presidents and vice presidents should not be doing international business deals, I'm all for it. But you're setting a standard that is not being met right now.
I'm just telling you what happened. Joe Biden
called
up and said, fire this prosecutor or you're not getting in.
No, you're suggesting that Biden called for the prosecutor to be fired to protect his son. That's not what happened.
And President Trump says, can you help me figure out what happened in the 2016 election? After all,
Congressman,
Democrats just put our country through 3 years of this when there was a false accusation and there was no evidence of any type of coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia to influence that election.
Here's the thing.
The president brings that up. And somehow he can't do that, but Joe Biden can do what he wants.
I want you to take a listen to Vice President Mike Pence when he was governor running for vice president, saying that it is a principle of the United States that foreign governments are not supposed to get involved in American elections. Let's roll that tape.
Now, y'all need to know out there, this is basic stuff. foreign donors and certainly foreign governments cannot participate in the American political process.
That once was a principle of the United States, but now, no, it's not, because the president is calling for Ukraine to investigate his rivals.
Jake, you're missing the fundamental point here.
I'm not missing anything.
Democrats, if you want to impeach, if this is their argument, Rudy Giuliani talked to your Ukrainian. Rudy Giuliani, the private lawyer of the president, so we're going to impeach this president.
I'm not saying whether.
I think the American people are going, really?
I'm not taking a position
in light of what this president has been able to do leading our country, in light of the economic growth, what he's done with our Supreme Court justice, what he's done with the embassy in Jerusalem, a host of things. You really think the American people are like, wait a minute, so Rudy Giuliani, the president's private lawyer, had a conversation
I
with
think that you came here and leveled a bunch of accusations and allegations about Hunter Biden.
I didn't level. I just said the facts. Did he get paid $50,000 a month?
He was paid by a foreign company. Yeah, he was paid by Burisma. But Joe Biden was trying to get a prosecutor who was not pursuing corruption fired, and it was supported.
It's amazing the gymnastics you guys will go through to defend what you really think.
Sir, it's not gymnastics; it's facts.
The vice president,
and I would think somebody who's been accused of things in the last year or two would be more sensitive about throwing out wild allegations.
I'm not throwing out wild. I'm throwing out the facts. The
prosecutor was not pursuing corruption. That's why the entire West wanted him fired, including anti-corruption activists in Ukraine. I don't understand what you don't get about that.
I get that. I'm just talking about this specific case that there's been reporting on, and the facts of that specific case are what he was paid per month, $50,000. Like I said, that's more than some of the folks I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District of Ohio get paid in a year. He's getting at $50,000 a month. The vice president's son, he got hired for what?
The president's daughter right now is having all sorts of copyrights granted in foreign countries. That doesn't alarm you. The president's sons are doing all sorts of business all over the world. That doesn't alarm you.
Come on.
Come on. Either there's a principle that people should not benefit from their connections, or there isn't.
The previous administration's FBI went after this president on July 31st.
They did a crappy job then, because they didn't even acknowledge there was an investigation until after the election.
They spied on 2 Americans associated with President Trump's campaign. They put Peter Strzok in charge of that campaign. The guy who said Trump should lose $100 million to zero. They allowed Jim Comey leak documents to get a special counsel. They used the dossier to go get a warrant to spy on
now we're back to the dossier.
No, I'm just saying that's what happened to President Trump. And now that none of that worked. None of that worked.
I understand you want to change the subject, but the president was pushing the president of Ukraine to investigate a political rival. I cannot believe that is okay with you. I can't believe it's okay with you.